Hello PMP aspirants. I hope your preparation for PMP exam is going in full swing. To help you further with your preparation, I have come up with 5 more questions for PMP exam which are scenario based, which will help you understand what are the different ways in which the questions can be asked. While discussing these questions, I'll also help you understand the different twists and turns in the question so that you don't only know how to solve that particular question, but many such questions which could be formed similarly in the similar fashion. I am Amit. I am a PMI ATP instructor at Adjust Project Academy. Without wasting much time, let us dive right into the question first. While explaining this question, I'll also let you know what is the process that you should follow when you are answering the questions in the exam. If you want to attempt it, you can pause the video, read through the questions, choose the best option and put that in the comment box. You can then unpause and listen to the explanation and see whether your explanation, your logic aligns with what I am discussing. If not, if you have something else to say or you think that your question went wrong but you had something else in mind, mention in the comment box and I'll discuss. Now, just a point to discuss. If you are mentioning your options, just mention the question number also. Because sometimes I see the options, but I don't know which question it belongs to. So please mention 1A, 1B, 1C, something like that. And that would give me a good clarity that yes, you are talking about this question. And if something is wrong, I'll be able to cross-check and explain you better. Let us have a look at question number 1. In PMP exam, you will see a scenario explained in 2 to 3 sentences. That would be a real life project scenario. The scenario would followed by a question, which is what you have to answer. They'll give you 4 options and they'll ask you to select which one is the best option of the all. Sometimes they might give you 5 options and then ask you to choose 2 or 3 which will be mentioned in the question itself. It is very important that you understand the scenario well. You are able to analyze it and then answer the question, because the answers would depend on the scenario. They are not looking for universally correct choices that somebody can memorize, that this is always correct, this will always be correct. It will not work. You will have to analyze the scenario well, then look at the options and see which one is the best given the scenario. The best way to do that is try to find out mistakes in the option so that you can eliminate those. If you don't find a mistake, if you think that this might be correct, this might not be correct, you are confused, you're not 100% sure that it is wrong, just park it and compare the options that you have parked. You will be able to find something better in one of the options and you can put a tick there. That's the approach of solving PMP exam questions in the best way possible. Understand the scenario, read the question, look for eliminating the options, eliminate what you can, keep what you cannot. In the end, you will be left with 2, compare and decide which one is better. Sometimes you will be left with just 1 option, that is obviously the better. Sometimes you will be left with 3 options to compare, which means it's a difficult question. It will take some time for you to decide, but you can always decide it. Initially, when you try this, you may take some time because this is the first time you are doing it and then you are trying to prime your mind in thinking like that. It may take some time, but with practice, it will improve. And will not only improve the way you answer the question, it will also improve the way you think about the scenarios in project management, which is way more important than the PMP certification itself, that you are becoming a better project manager. Let us try to see what I am talking about and then we'll discuss further. A Scrum team is midway into a sprint when the project sponsor approaches the Scrum Master and requests that a new, urgent and potentially complex mandatory compliance related requirement should be developed immediately in the current sprint. We have to always read the scenario from the project management's perspective. Right? So in this project, there is a sponsor who is saying that there is a requirement which is very, very important, must be done immediately in the current sprint. Right? That's the scenario. So we don't have to think about what would be the question, what else is it. Just try to visualize the scenario. Then the second sentence is, the sponsor stresses that if the requirement is not implemented, the entire project may be cancelled. Right? So the second sentence just emphasizes the point that the requirement is very, very important. Otherwise, if you don't do it now, the project will get cancelled. So what is the Scrum Master's best response? So in the case where you face a scenario that a new requirement has come, if I don't do it, the project will get cancelled, what should you do as a leader of the team? You don't have to think of, again, universally the correct choice. You just have to look at 4 choices and see out of these 4, what is the best thing that I can do. If you do it this way, you have the answers in front of you, you have the wrong answers in front of you, you will be able to take much better decision rather than try to think what can be done. Okay, so let's look at option A. Add the requirement to the current sprint backlog and direct the team to start working on it to save project from cancellation, which just follows whatever was given in the scenario. The requirement is important. If you don't do it, then it will get cancelled. Right? So we should do it immediately. Otherwise, the project will get cancelled. So it just follows it. That yes, okay, sponsor has said this, so I'll add that requirement. Right? But the question here is that as a Scrum Master, can I add the requirements? It should be done by the product owner. Right? So product owner has to be involved in this scenario. You cannot just do it on your own. So you can eliminate it. See, it's very easy to find a mistake, because for an option to be wrong, you just need to find one mistake. For an option to be correct, it has to be correct from all the different aspects. Every word, every phrase needs to be correct. But for it to be wrong, just need one mistake. Can I add it? No. Eliminate. B. Add the requirement to the product backlog. Again, see, neither we could do it to sprint backlog, nor we can do it to product backlog. And request the product owner to review the requirements after the sprint. So we are saying that I will add into the backlog, then the owner will get involved, and after the sprint we will see. The sponsor is saying do it in the current sprint. So not aligned to the request, not aligned to the ask from the sponsor. Right? As I said, you will find multiple mistakes in the option, you just have to find one. Add the requirement, I cannot do it as a Scrum Master. And request the product owner to review the requirements after the sprint? No, we have to do it in the current sprint. So either ways, whatever you saw, you just have to find one mistake and you can eliminate it. Then we go to C. Discuss the requirement with the product owner and let them decide, including sprint cancellation if needed. Yes. Sponsor, okay, sponsor should have gone to product owner, but they have not, they have come to me. Now I cannot tell them that don't come to me, go it somewhere else. Or maybe I can politely say that this is not my point. If that was the option, we may have selected that. Right? But that's not the option. So a sponsor has come to me asking about a requirement. So I have gone to the product owner so that I can discuss with them that this is what the sponsor is saying. What do you think about it? Okay, and then let the product owner decide. Now, what is very important is that within the sprint, we don't add the requirements. Right? Unless and until all the user stories are complete. Right? So even the product owner will not add the requirement, edit the requirements, or omit the requirements once sprint planning has been done. This is to ensure that there is a predictability in the Scrum framework, in the Agile frameworks that we use. Right? It is very, very important for the stakeholders, for the downstream to know what we are about to achieve so that they can plan themselves. Right? So for that matter, we don't add anything within the sprint. So, what the product owner will have to do, they will have to cancel the sprint if they think that yes, this is very, very important. Whatever we are doing becomes obsolete, whatever they are doing becomes absolute low priority. Let's cancel the sprint. First, start another sprint, carry out these requirements, and then we'll do it. Let the product owner take that decision. Looks like a very good choice. So, we'll keep it. As you said, if we are 100% sure, we'll eliminate it. If you are not sure, we'll just keep it for comparison. Maybe D is even better. Let us have a look. Submit a change request to update the scope baseline. Now, by the time you finish this phrase, you would know that okay, they're talking about traditional approach, while the question is about Scrum, which is an agile approach. And add the requirement to the requirements traceability matrix. We don't tend to create these documents unless and until it is a hybrid approach project where question would say that scope management or requirements management would be handled in a traditional approach. As of now, traditional, not aligned. Right? So this is the beauty of eliminating the options. You are left with only one. You knew that it was okay. Now you are 100% sure that yes, this is the correct one because A, B, D can be very quickly eliminated. Now, whenever you are practicing questions for the exam, it is very, very important to understand the terms, the concepts, the mindset which is applied to the questions. That's why we are discussing. That's why I'm trying to highlight all those things, because once you understand those concepts and mindset, You will be able to answer many similar questions in the exam. Right? So it's not about this is the answer, that is the answer, and you just go to the next question. Right? It will not work. What will work is that you totally understand that why C is better than A, B, and D, so that when you see the similar comparison, when you see the similar questions, you will be able to answer in the exam also. And once you build that mindset, you can solve one or two questions, and with that mindset, you will be able to solve 20, 30 questions in the exam. So review your question well. Okay. While reviewing this question, you would want to know, okay, so the Scrum Master cannot add the requirements. What else cannot be done in Scrum framework? What else cannot be done in Agile framework? So there are certain non-negotiables for sprint and iterations in Agile. Let us have a look at that so that it stays with you, and if a different question asks you about those non-negotiables, you would know what it is. Right? First, no hidden or sneaked in work after sprint planning. Sprint planning is done before the sprint starts. Once it has been decided that these are the user stories that we will work on, no other requirements would try to sneak in. We will not do that. Whatever we are committed to, we will focus on doing that itself. Second, to maintain the predictability, no other scope should be added or edited or removed from the sprint backlog items. Right? Yes, it can be cancelled by the product owner. So anything to be done on the backlog would be done by the product owner, but they cannot add or remove within the sprint. If the team has completed all the user stories, they have enough time within the sprint, then they can discuss and add one more user story. That is logical. Right? But during the work is going on, they have not completed user stories, and then trying to add something is a wrong thing to do. We don't do that. Right? In sprint, in Agile, you will do many ceremonies also, coming together and discussing about something. One is the sprint planning itself before the sprint starts. Daily in the morning, preferably 10 to 15 minutes of a stand-up. A review after the work is done on what the team has developed, and a retrospective to see how we can improve in the next sprint. Right? All these meetings should be time boxed. You should decide your time and you should stick to that. That we'll do a 45-minute planning only. We'll do daily stand-up in 15 minutes. Review would be, let's say, 1 hour. Retrospective would be 30 minutes. So whatever it is, you decide and you stick to it. Right? Who and how will you decide that time? You can always check with your team and discuss whatever they are comfortable with. You decide those timelines. Right? And then you stick to it. So it must be time boxed. Right? Duration of sprint is never changed if the work doesn't get completed. So once we have decided that sprint will be of 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you don't change that duration. Right? Just because the work has not been completed. Otherwise, then same thing. The predictability, the rhythm in which the Agile team works would go for a toss. And then people would not know what the team can achieve in the next 3 months or 6 months. Right? We have to give them that understanding that every sprint we are able to complete approximately 20 story points. So that's our velocity. If you have to complete 200 story points, I will take 10 sprints. If you have to complete 500 story points, I will take 25 sprints. Right? So it gives a great clarity of what the team can achieve. And for that reason, there are certain non-negotiables which are important for us to know. Right? Also, whenever somebody says that they have completed the work, it must follow the definition of done. Any incomplete work, whether it is 80% complete or 90% complete, is not considered as complete. You will assign 0 story points to that actual completion, even if it is 95% complete. Right? There would be a checklist that we use for every user story to see whether it is complete or not, which is called definition of done. If you put a tick on all the points in the definition of done, only then you call it as a done. So no partial work. Right? A quick revision, what are the non-negotiables? Once we have done the planning, we don't add or try to sneak in any requirement within the sprint. Second, the product owner is responsible for adding the requirements. They cannot add or remove anything within the sprint backlog unless the sprint goal itself becomes obsolete. So they can cancel the sprint. Ceremonies must be time boxed. Whatever time you decide, you should have a discipline to complete those meetings within that time. Duration cannot be changed, whatever be the situation, and no partial work is called done. So if a user story is not complete, you will assign 0 story points to it at the end of the sprint. So this is the level at which you have to review. And when you do that, as you can see, right, we have done one question and then we have seen some 5 points as well, which means we are not only prepared for one question, we are prepared for 5 more questions. Because in some scenarios, these things will also be tested. Let us have a look at question number 2, and we try to do the same kind of analysis, we'll try to do the same kind of review. Again, if you want to attempt, you can pause the video right now, put the answer in the chat box, put your doubts in the chat box. I'll go there, I'll check the comments, I'll try to understand what you have been talking about. And if I see that people are making mistakes in a particular way, then I'll try to create more questions for your practice so that you don't make the same mistakes. Okay. Let us see the question number 2. A supplier that's supporting the part of the project tends to regularly have conflicts with the project team members. The project manager is worried that these conflicts could impact the project work and the other suppliers as well. So there is one supplier having regular conflicts with the team, and project manager is rightly worried that this could result in some impact on the project work and some other suppliers might also get impacted. Right? So the question, when you look at it, when you look at the scenario, again you have to think from the project management perspective. So there's a problem that has been identified and there is a worry in the project manager's mind. That is what they have discussed. They have not talked about solution, they have not talked about why it is happening, they have not talked about how to prioritize the solution. They have just reported a problem and a little bit of worry from the project manager's side that this could happen. Right? So you have to notice these things, because once you notice what is being discussed, your life becomes easy in solving problem. Let us see. Which of the following is the most appropriate action for the project manager to take? Right? Now that you have only known about the problem, maybe you would want to know the root cause, maybe you would want to know the solution, and then probably implement the solution. Right? So any of those actions could be most appropriate. We don't have to worry about it. We just have to look at the options and see whether this could be an appropriate action or not. Whatever we can eliminate, we will eliminate. Whatever we will keep, we will compare and see which one is the most appropriate. Let's see. Facilitate a meeting between the team members and the supplier. Can we do that? Yes. Can it be an appropriate action? Yes. So we'll keep it. Right? So two people are having conflicts and we are meeting with them. Maybe try to understand why it is happening. Maybe try to understand or discuss the solution. Right? So facilitating a meeting is nothing wrong here. Then we go to B. Rearrange the team members with different responsibilities. Now this means that we are saying that team members are at fault. Right? Because their responsibilities are not proper, hence we are facing a problem. Now how can we come to that conclusion? We cannot assume. Right? Nothing in the question says that the team members are at fault. Then why would I change something in the team members? Right? So we cannot take this decision. Then we go to C. Do nothing. The conflicts are generally good for the project. Yes, conflicts are generally good for the project because you need difference of opinion to be innovative and creative. But in this question, the project manager is also worried about something. If you are worried about something, how can you do nothing about it? Right? So not a good choice. We have eliminated it. Then we go to D. Identify an alternate supplier to work with the team. Now in this case, we are assuming that the supplier is at fault. In option B, we thought team members were at fault. In option D, we are assuming supplier is at fault. While nothing in the question suggests so. Question only says that there has been conflict between the supplier. What if the team members don't like that supplier? Right? And it is being created by the team members, not that supplier. Right? We might say that, okay, just one supplier is having a problem, other suppliers are not having problems, so maybe the supplier is at fault. Maybe, right? We don't know. And we cannot take decision based on uncertainty. As project managers, we need to understand the root cause. We need to understand exactly this is the reason because of which the problem is happening, and then decide a solution. Right? So D can also be eliminated. A was kept for comparison, but we have no other options to compare. So A is the best choice. Right? What is the mindset that we have applied here? The mindset is that whenever you see only a problem being discussed, or maybe the impact of the problem being discussed, you cannot start implementing solutions. You cannot start taking decisions. Right? You have to find out the root cause. You have to find out the potential solutions. You have to prioritize the solutions. And then you can implement that solution. And after implementation, you will check whether the implementation was successful or not. In this case, just because the problem has been reported, I cannot start taking decisions. Second thing, if I'm worried, I'll also not do nothing. Right? So we can eliminate it. A was the best choice. So there are two things which are very, very important to learn from this question. One is that always involve both the parties when they are involved in a conflict or a scenario. Whether it is a conflict, whether it's a problem, whether it's a recommendation, solution, suggestion, request. If two parties are involved, two parties means stakeholder and team, stakeholder and project manager, supplier and team, supplier and project manager and the sponsor, whoever it is. So if two people, two group are involved in something and you are trying to take a decision within that, try to always involve both the parties. You cannot side with one party alone. Right? So if you apply this, it becomes easy to solve the questions. How? Have a look at this, the same question. Right? Conflict between supplier and team, taking a decision on team, eliminated. Taking a decision on supplier only, eliminated. Right? So that mindset which gets developed makes your solving of the question faster. That's why we discussed that. Second, take those decisions that are justified from the information given in the scenario. Always take a decision. Decision taking is a very, very important aspect. Whatever decision that you take will make or break your project. Right? So you cannot take it based on assumption. You cannot take it based on just your feeling. Let us see in the same question, how does that apply? Right? Again, facilitating a meeting is not a decision, we are just meeting. Rearrange the team members, a decision. Identify an alternate supplier, a decision, we can eliminate this. Right? Do nothing is something else which is not applicable on this mindset, but applying the two mindset, you are able to eliminate the two questions quickly, two options quickly. Right? This is the level at which you should review the questions. Try to understand the mindset, try to understand whether you know all the concepts or not. Do 100 questions, do 200 questions, you will be prepared for the exam. If you review it well. Otherwise, you may have to do many more number of questions. So, how well do you review your question depends on how much time you will need to prepare for the exam. Okay, let's move to question number 3. During the execution of a project to renovate one floor of their office building, the company has decided to renovate the office building entirely. Right? So there was a project going on to renovate one floor. While they were doing that, they thought, okay, this is looking good, let's do it for the entire floor. Now, an analysis reveals that it would be less costly and more efficient to include the scope of current project within a larger renovation project rather than managing both projects separately. What are both projects here? One is that we are already doing. Second is what the team thought of doing. So it is better that we combine the scope of this one floor into the larger building. That's what the analysis says. Right? Imagining what the situation could be, trying to visualize the scenario is very, very important. So you were renovating one floor, and analysis suggested that if you combine the scope of this one floor to the entire building, it will be more beneficial. So what should be done with the current project? Right? So when this is the case, what would you do with the project where you are renovating one floor? Let's see. Cancelled for a legal cause. This is not a legal decision. No legal discussion is happening in the option. We can eliminate this. Completed as planned. We cannot do that also because the analysis suggests something else. Eliminated. Excluded from a program. Program is not being discussed, so we don't know whether to exclude or include. Eliminated. Terminated for convenience. Should we terminate this? Yes. Will it be for convenience? Yes. Because that's what analysis suggests. That it will be convenient, it will be better if we combine the scopes. D is the best choice. Right? So try this elimination technique. It works wonder. It will help you very quickly understand what could be the best choice because you are able to eliminate the choices. Right? Most of the times you will be left with two choices to compare. Sometimes you will be left with only one choice if you have seen the mistakes already while reading itself. Right? Sometimes you will have three options to compare depending on how difficult the question is. Right? Now in this case, while you are solving it, while you are reviewing this question, you would have something in mind that, okay, what are the ways or what are the reasons for which we would terminate a project? Terminate means premature closure. Right? So when can we terminate the project? There are multiple reasons why a project might get terminated. Let us have a quickly look at it. You don't have to memorize these points, but if you understand these points, it will help you in solving the questions better. Right? So why would you terminate? It could be a strategic decision. Right? That while we were doing the project, we realized that this project is no longer aligned to the strategic objective of the organization. Misalignment with strategy. Right? Change in business priority. A lot of changes happen, right? New technology come up, new market comes up, because of which my business priority itself changed. So whatever project that I was doing no longer makes sense. We can terminate it. Right? Market changes, as we were discussing right now. Loss of competitive advantage. Right? We are doing a product, but our competitor has got something much, much better. So even if we go into the market with this product, it will not sell. We can take a decision to scrap it off, to terminate it. Right? Termination itself is not a failure. Right? There are many strategic decisions which helps us in terminating the project rather than spending more time and more money on the project and making it even worse. It's a strategic decision, but it can be taken. Second, financial reasons. Right? We are doing a project and we realize that okay, the budget has overrun significantly. Now we don't have money in the project, we cannot do it. Somebody who was funding the project, the bank loan or the investor, they have withdrawn the funds for any XYZ reasons. We'll have to terminate the project. We do a lot of return on investment forecast every time we do the project, right? Monthly or quarterly, we will check whether this project will be successful, what type of returns we will get or not. If the forecast says that no returns, financially you can terminate the project. Technically also, right? If we realize that okay, while we were designing it, it looked all good, but during execution we have realized that it is not feasible. We'll have to terminate it. Integration failure. Many individual features are working fine in silos, but when we integrate it, the product does not work. We'll have to close the project. Significantly high technical risks have been identified. While working, we realize okay, there's a huge risk that we cannot take care of. We may have to terminate the project. Okay. Then execution related problems. Scope creep has gone out of control. Scope creep means without allowing you time or extra money, scope is continuously added. And now that has gone out of control. We may have to terminate the project. Persistent schedule delays. Right? A project that was supposed to be done in 6 months has now become 6 years. You may have to close that. Stakeholder conflicts. Some key stakeholders having conflict about their expectations, their whatever they are thinking about from the project perspective. They are having a lot of conflicts, so we may have to close the project there. Team performance issues. Right? Team is not performing well. Significantly bad performance. So we may have to decide that okay, we may do this project with some other team. This project is closed. Legal ways also, we may need to terminate the project. Any regulatory changes that makes the project no longer important. Some legal disputes from the competitors or anybody. Environmental or social concerns have raised, and because of which now the governing bodies have asked us to close the project. Force majeure events, which is act of God, some kind of flood, some kind of COVID situation that happened, some kind of another epidemic or anything, because of which we may have to close the project. And then customer related problems as well. Customer is asking us to no longer do the project. They have cancelled the project. We'll have to terminate it. Right? Key sponsor was there who is no longer a sponsor for the project. We'll have to cancel the project. Stakeholder disengagement. Stakeholders are not connected well with the project. They have no idea, and then they decided that they'll cancel the project. Right? So as you can see, there are multiple reasons for termination of the project. I have tried to list down what are the most common ones. Right? So that you have a good understanding that yes, these could be the reasons for cancellation. Again, you don't have to remember or memorize all these points, because just because somebody said that okay, there is a risk, that does not mean you will terminate the project. It needs to be analyzed well. And as a project manager, I cannot terminate the project because I did not start the project. Right? The project charter was signed by the sponsor and me. So the cancellation would also be taken care by the sponsor and me. So I can suggest to cancel and the sponsor will take a decision on that. Right? But it just gives us a good idea of the reasons for termination of the project. Now let us have a look at question number 4. In a software development project, the design work has been outsourced to a supplier in a different city. The development and implementation will be done by the in-house team. Very simple scenario, that the design would be handled by the supplier who is in a different city. The development would be done by the in-house team. Right? Now what should the project manager do to ensure effective communication? That's what the question is. So when the supplier is in a different city, your team is in a different city, then how would you ensure a effective communication? Let us see. Ask the suppliers to regularly upload the design documents into a shared project repository. It will help, right? So whatever the works suppliers would do, they would upload it on a shared repository, maybe a Google Drive, maybe a OneDrive, anything. On a shared drive, they would upload it so that the team can access it. But the question is that are the documents the only communication needs for these team members? Do they want to engage in some discussions? Do they want to take some decisions together? Right? Probably yes. Right? So document access is not the only thing that we are looking for communication. So although we don't find a mistake here because it can help in some kind of communication, right? But will it be most effective? We don't know. Only by comparing we will come to know. So we don't know whether it's a mistake or it's a correct choice. So we'll just park it. That's what you have to do. If you find a mistake, eliminate it. If you don't find a mistake, just park it. By comparing, you will automatically see that something is better. Let's go to B. Ask both the teams to conduct regular workshops. Right? So if there are regular workshops, it will be better. Probably it will be an online workshop because they are in different city. Probably it could be a personal in-person workshops. We don't know about that. But we can say that, okay, this is also a good way of communicating. We will keep this as well. Because you cannot eliminate it. These are all ways of communication. Then we go to C. Ask the supplier to send a detailed email with the completed design documents. Right. So compared to A, where they are uploading it somewhere, we are saying they send an email of these documents. Again, why are we focused only on documents for the communication? Not sure, but again, we cannot eliminate it because this is also a way of communicating. And again, you don't have to say that, okay, everything looks right and everything. You just apply either elimination or park the option for all the options. It may happen that the D is something much better than A, B and C. You don't even have to compare. Select it and move ahead. Right? Or by reading all the options, you will get some idea on how to compare the options. Right? So first we will look at options individually. Either we will eliminate it or we will keep it. And then whatever we have kept, we will see how to compare it. Let's look at D. Ask the supplier team to sit with the implementation team and work together till the end of the project. Now this does not look feasible. Although very good choice, but it will include a lot of cost, a lot of effort. They are in a different city, so how can they sit with the team? A lot of big decisions. So we cannot take that decision immediately, so we can eliminate it. So now we have three choices. One choice says upload the documents on a repository. Second says conduct regular workshops. Third says send email. Right? Workshop is something that will help us in getting involved. You are having an in-person discussion, face-to-face discussions. Right? It could be an in-person workshop, it could be an online workshop, but workshops would help. Right? In having more collaboration, in more understanding on what everybody is thinking, rather than just uploading the document and sending an email. So irrespective of whether it's an online workshop or not, B looks like a good choice. C definitely is in person. Right? So in person will be more costly, more effort, we can eliminate it. Just sending an email and uploading on Drive is also something that we can eliminate compared to B, which is a workshop that we can select. Right? So when you go option by option, one by one, you understand what is that point that you need to compare with the options. Right? So always apply that technique. Try to eliminate if you can. If not, just park it. Then compare. You'll always see a better choice. Now in this question, when we are discussing this, there are certain important mindset to keep in mind. One is that whatever communications that you try to plan, active communications where people are involved, in-person discussion, face-to-face, online with a video call, workshops, right? Anything that aids to collaboration is always better. Why? Because you're able to see expression, you are able to see the body language, you are able to understand much better on what they're saying. You have a chance to ask whether they have understood it or not. They have a chance to ask to explain again. Right? So this active communication, the live communication is always better. Then whenever you are taking a decision, always think about the impacts on other constraints as well. Like in this question, when we say that team members will sit together and they should work, it is the best thing to do. But is it feasible? Right? So we have to think from the cost perspective also. In exam, you don't have to think of all the 6 constraints like scope, cost, schedule, risk, resource, quality, but try to think about 2 or 3 constraints, most logical constraints. That if I take this decision, will it impact the cost? Will it impact the schedule? Will it impact the risk? 1 or 2 most obvious things will automatically come to your mind. That when you are asking a team to sit with somebody, a lot of logistics issue comes into picture. People may not want to shift to a different city. Right? So a lot of things are there. So resources and cost wise might not be a good choice. So think about a couple of constraints whenever you are taking a decision. It will help you in taking the better decisions. So those options where a decision has been taken, think little bit about what about other constraint. Okay, so we are talking about schedule. What about scope? We are talking about risk. What about cost? The minute you start thinking about other constraints, you'll automatically see that okay, this might not be a good choice. Now let us have a look at last question for the day. In a software development project, an agile team is following the Scrum framework and have recently completed their 3rd release. Again, visualizing. So 3 releases have happened. Scrum framework is being used. The product owner informs the team that there are multiple bugs found in the product that comprises the user experience. Whatever they have released, there are a lot of bugs in that which are called defects because it has gone to the user end and it is hampering the end user's experience. That's what the question says. 3rd release has been done, whatever we have released is with some bugs and it's not good for user experience. So what should the product manager do? It's a very general question. That given this situation where bugs have been found on the released product, what should you do? Let's see. Hire an additional resource dedicated to handling issues reported after the release. A decision which is not justified. Right? Why would I need an additional resource? Can my team not handle it? I don't know. So when I don't know, I cannot take this decision. Right? I can eliminate it as well. Then we go to B. Incorporate a rewards and recognition program for team members finding maximum bugs before release. So this will help us in preventive action. Right? In a way that you are saying that okay, we will provide rewards to whoever finds out the maximum bugs so that we can find a lot of bugs through competition and these bugs don't get released to the customer end or the user end. So it looks like a good choice, but it prevents the problem. As of now, we also need to solve the problem. We also need to correct the problem. So as such, we cannot eliminate it because it is helpful. So we'll keep it. Then we go to C. Identify the technical gaps in the team that cause the issue and train them to bridge those gaps. This looks logical. But if I think a little bit in detail, why are we focused only on technical gaps and only on the team? There can be multiple reasons because of which the bugs can be found in the product. Then why are we saying that we'll only look at technical gaps? What about communication related gaps? What about process related gaps? What about understanding of agile related gaps? Those could also result in some problems. Right? So focusing only on technical gaps is not a good thing here, so we can eliminate it. Then we go to D. Facilitate a meeting to analyze root causes with the team and discuss potential solutions. Yes. If you go back to the previous questions that we were talking about, we have come to know about a problem. Right? No root cause, no solution has been discussed. So what should I do? I should look for root cause. Right? Rather than taking a decision of adding additional resources, rather than taking a decision of rewards and recognition, okay, which probably prevent the things, but we just parked it, so we'll keep it again. In C, identifying the technical gaps, sticking only to the technical gaps. We don't know whether it's a technical issue or not. So identifying the root cause and then looking for potential solutions would be much, much helpful than implementing the solution itself. And hence, comparing to B, which is more like a solution that we are implementing, D is much better. Also, D talks about finding solution of this problem. B talks about preventing it in future. So B is a preventive action, D is a corrective action. As such, if I am facing a problem and the question is not asking me to take a preventive action or what should the project do to prevent it in future or what should they have done to prevent it now, we'll always go for corrective action. And hence, in comparison, B can again be eliminated. So A and C we could eliminate, B and D we kept for comparison, D is much better than B. What is the mindset? It's always corrective action first and preventive action later. It's like when you have a problem, solve the problem first. and then see how you can ensure that it does not repeat again. Second, do not assume the problem. Right? Be critical if the option assumes a problem. You see the options here? Right? Incorporating a rewards and recognition, hiring additional resources, identifying technical gaps, all these things are assuming the reason of a problem. Right? So we don't have to assume it. We just have to see that, okay, problem has been discussed, let us go for a root cause rather than directly jumping to a decision. Right? So in essence, whatever mindset that we have discussed, if you combine it all together, if you list it all down together, if you read it regularly, it will be very, very helpful for you to strengthen that mindset and answer the questions in the exam. Right? There's a video that we have done on exam mindset, which is probably the most popular video that we have done. So you can go through that video. It has listed down all the mindset. I have discussed it. I have discussed some examples also on how you can apply that in the exam. So it will be very helpful. I'll leave the link in the description box. Do let me know how was this session. Is discussion on the mindset, discussion on the concepts along with the question helping you or not? I hope it does. Thank you so much.